This is the Tigers Postcast, your instant game reaction for the Detroit Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
And here we go. Welcome into a live Locked On Tigers Postcast. I am your host, Jake Riepma. You can follow me on Twitter at Jake_Riepma. And the series in Houston has not gone particularly well, or according to plan for that matter. The Astros win again tonight, 6-4. The final in this one will break it all down. The Tigers record falls to 18-12. Still tied for the most wins in the American League, but just a tough night overall. However, Gleyber Torres continues to rake. We'll talk about him. And Kerry Carpenter went yard in this one. And what went wrong from a pitching perspective and how the Astros somehow just kept scoring runs with 2 outs. I'll have my talking point as well. Don't forget about our player of the game turning point. It's all next. I'm alive. Locked On Tigers Postcast. As always, thanks so much for tuning in. This is your postgame destination for all things Detroit Tigers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team each and every day, free and available wherever you get your podcasts, and of course, on YouTube. And you might notice if you're watching on YouTube, got the Pistons hat on. That's because the Pistons were victorious tonight. They just took care of the New York Knicks in game number 5. So there will be a game number 6. Just finished a live Locked On Pistons postcast. You can check out over on Locked On Sports Detroit. Now for the Locked On Tigers. As I mentioned, 2 straight losses. Buckle up, dial it in. Here we go. And it feels like it's just a little bit of a lull. It happens from time to time. Tough to go on the road. The Houston Astros really, really good at home. In fact, they've won 8 of their last 9 games played at not Minute Maid Park anymore, Daikin Park. If you're like me, when you saw you thought, wait a second, I thought where the Astros played was Minute Maid Park. No, it's now Daikin Park. So no more orange juice at the ballpark. I don't know if they actually serve Minute Maid orange juice, but I was there last year when Tarik Skubal shut down the Houston Astros in game number 1 of that series, where the Detroit Tigers took care of the Houston Astros in the opening round of the postseason. But enough reminiscing on that. Let's talk about tonight. Tigers get off to the early lead with the solo home run from Kerry Carpenter in the top of the first to right center. His 7th home run of the season. You absolutely love to see it. And then Gleyber Torres, he has just been the entire source of he was the entire source of the offense the rest of the way with an RBI single in the 5th. And the Tigers had a 2-0 lead in this one, but just like last night, the Astros were able to put a rally together late. And unfortunately, Will Vest, who had been so good and really dominated Yainer Diaz up until this point, but Diaz gets the big 2-run single off him to give the Astros the 3-2 lead. And I, like you, was surprised by it just because Vest had just been so good leading up to that. So you tip your cap to the opposition, and unfortunately they added on. And what's interesting about tonight is all the Astros runs were with 2 outs. You know, the Tigers just could not get that big pitch and that big out to get out of innings, which is disappointing in that sense. But let me know your thoughts as well if you want to chime on in. Get in that comment section as well. We're always reading your comments. That's what makes the live, interactive, Locked On Tigers postcast that much more enjoyable. So let's go ahead and get to it right away. It's our Talking About segment.
This is what you'll be talking about.
When I look at this game, it was just the Tigers' inability to get the big out. And as I mentioned, all of the Astros runs coming with 2 outs, you felt like you were so close to getting off the field and back into the dugout on a number of times. And it was just one blow after another in which the Astros showed their ability to score with 2 outs. And for an Astros team that has kind of struggled coming out of the gates, they've played much better as of late. And this is a good team. It's been a formidable team in the American League West for many years. with Joe Espada leading the way as the manager, you just know that this is a team that can sneak up on you and take the first 2 games of the series. So certainly uncharted waters here, as the last time the Tigers were in this situation was the opening series of the entire season in Los Angeles against the Dodgers. So hopefully can find a way to get a win tomorrow in the day game in this one. But what we'll be talking about tonight is the Tigers' inability to get that final out and to get out of the inning. Some comments coming in from R1VJ4, who's just with us over on the Locked On Pistons postcast. Houston just in the shadows, waiting to strike big. Again, you can hear it rattling. What do? You got to score more runs and cut that before it shakes. I agree. Tigers had their opportunities and just did not take advantage of it. And that's part of what makes a night like tonight a little bit frustrating, if we're being honest. And listen, I will say it. I've been spoiled. We've all been spoiled with that 18-10 start, best team in the American League, but 2 straight losses, and you know, I mean, you're gonna have these types of lulls throughout the course of a 162 game season. Demetrius McNeil chiming in, 25 strikeouts in 2 games, and the horrible at bats by Green and Torkelson was the turning point for this game. Yeah, Riley Green, obviously the big day yesterday, showing the power still in that bat and the pop still in that bat. So disappointing to see him come back today and have a couple of bummer at bats, if you will. He finishes just 1 for 4 on the night. Spencer Torkelson did draw 2 walks, so I don't know if necessarily I'm fully in agreement with you on those 2 guys being the root of the problem. Tough night for a number of guys. I mean, McKinstry was Zach McKinstry was 2 for 5, so I take that back. But rather, Colt Keith 0 for 2. Sweeney continues to struggle at the plate, 0 for 4. Dylan Dingler 0 for 4, and Jace Young 0 for 2. Although he did get on with the walk and come around to score. So again, you got to have a total team effort, and they didn't have that tonight. They haven't had that in the first 2 games. So back to a 18-12 record, 6 games over 500. You certainly would sign up for that. Still in first place in the American League Central, but obviously we don't have to be crazy and start talking about standings in April for that matter. But don't go anywhere. We're going to continue the live Locked On Tigers postcast, and Skip chiming in here. Skip Gadberry, Riley needs to cut down the strikeouts. I would agree with that. And aside from just kind of the few games in which we had a glimmer of hope there, it has been concerning with Riley Green. But he's too good of a guy to give up on or to not wholeheartedly believe in. I will say that. So don't go anywhere. We're going to keep this going. I'll have my player of the game as well as our turning point, and we will continue to take your comments and look ahead to the finale. That's coming up next on a live Locked On Tigers postcast. This episode of the Locked On Tigers postcast is brought to you by Wonderful Pistachios. Listen up, my friends. You guys know I love Wonderful Pistachios. And if you're like me and you're looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious, well, you got to crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. Wow, they just love the copy on this one. To help keep you feeling fuller longer. There you go. I love the no-shell variety. It's perfect for the grab and go, even on the way to the gym sometimes, or on the way home from the gym. I will crack open a couple of Wonderful Pistachios. I enjoy it while watching baseball as well. You know, some of those 9-inning games can be a little bit long, and so I stay busy by cracking open some Wonderful Pistachios and enjoy the little green wonders that pack a protein punch. That's right. It's a satisfying crack of opening each shell. It's like snack meditation. I absolutely love it. So get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. That's wonderfulpistachios.com. This episode of the Locked On Tigers Postcast is also brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. And listen up, the NBA playoffs are here, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action right now. When you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. And I love how easy FanDuel makes betting. And whether you're just a beginner or an experienced pro like myself, I kid around. Whether you're picking your favorite team or diving into player props, from three-pointers to steals to assists, FanDuel has so many ways to bet your favorite player props. How about a little same-game parlay? It's all a possibility. You don't want to miss out, so head over to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. Don't miss out. FanDuel.com. Claim your $250 in bonus bets today. FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. We are cruising right along on a live Locked On Tigers postcast. As always, your comments are welcome. Tigers have dropped the first 2 of the series against the Houston Astros at Daikin Park. Again, not Minute Maid Park. So if you learned nothing else from tonight's postcast, you learned that the Astros home ballpark is now Daikin Park. So there you have it. All right, final segment of the day. And let's go ahead and knock it out with our turning point.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
Where was this game won or lost? Unfortunately, it was the Astros' ability to get the clutch 2-out hits and the Tigers' inability to get the team back in the dugout. So you look at the bullpen, and Will Vest, who we talked about momentarily in that opening segment, unable to get the job done. He gives up 3 earned runs. Reese Olson gives up 3 earned runs. He gets hit with the loss. He's now 3-2. But the pitching wasn't egregiously bad by any means. It just wasn't good enough on a night where the Tigers offense struggled a little bit as well. So that being said, it wasn't one of those games that had, you look back at 1 or 2 plays and just, oh my goodness, that's where this game was won or lost. But rather just the ability for the Houston Astros to score with 2 outs. Let's go ahead and make our player of the game.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
There's nobody really for the Astros that jumps out in this one as well, other than the 3 RBI for Yainer Diaz. And since he had that clutch hit that scored 2 to put the Astros ahead for good, I guess it's got to be Yainer Diaz. So there you have it. He, with the 3 RBIs, the 2 hits, 2 for 4. He did strike out twice as well, but Yainer Diaz, your player of the game. Now, tomorrow's matchup, you look at the Tigers, in which they absolutely have to get a win because you don't want to get swept. You've got Jackson Jobe on the bump, and the Astros have not named their starter yet, according to MLB.com. But Jackson Jobe, what a start he's off to. He's 2-0 with a 2.70 ERA, 14 strikeouts, and I think you got to be like me in the sense that every time he's about to pitch, you just get super excited. You think this is our guy, and you think of watching him for years and years and years to come. I know I do. And tomorrow's a good example of that. And I think back, I'm sure he will at some point discuss or at least elaborate on the fact that he made his major league debut at Daikin Park. I keep saying one in Houston. We'll put it that way. Remember in the playoffs, he came trotting in, and it wasn't necessarily his fault. But that inning kind of got away from the Tigers, and maybe he needs to exercise, or he will have an opportunity to kind of exercise some of those demons. All right, couple more comments to get into as we wrap things up tonight a little bit later of a Locked On Tigers postcast with the game in Houston tonight, 1 hour ahead of us or behind us. That would be the way to put it. Time zones confuse me. R1VJ4. I see Malloy going down when Veerling returns. His 2 strikeouts were slacking. Yeah, that might be the case. And I don't know, because I think Malloy's done a lot of good. And, it would be a tough break to send the kid down. Honestly, I think we could start having a conversation about sending Colt Keith down, and maybe that's a little bit of a knee-jerk reaction, but and maybe even with the 2 errors the other night, I know you got to have Sweeney to play shortstop, but man, that was a tough watch as well. So, all right, Supreme Panda says Houston is going to get revenge for the 2024 postseason. Okay, Supreme Panda, there you go. If a midweek series in April is your way to avenge the playoffs, then have at it. I joke. But that being said, day game tomorrow, so we'll be on following the conclusion of the series finale. First pitch 2:10 Eastern time, so late afternoon, I guess is a good way to put it. Jackson Jobe on the bump for the Detroit Tigers, who will try to salvage game after losing tonight 6-4 at Daikin Park against the Houston Astros. So have a wonderful rest of your evening, everyone, and thank you so much for tuning in. It's always a pleasure. Make sure you check out Locked On Tigers with Scott Bentley and keep it right here for your post-game action and instant reaction, comments, commemorating, whatever it may be after a game. We will do it on the Locked On Tigers postcast. Thanks so much for tuning in. Have a wonderful night. See you next time.